Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome to Friday Fright Time, where every week I, Connor, along with my trusty sidekicks, Kofi and Stu, dissect horror movies from throughout history, tearing our favourite, most memorable moments to pieces. This week, Kofi's having a little bit of daddy-daughter time, so you've got the reunion of the century. Me and Stu are back for a two-man review, and we're going right to the middle of the 90s with this British cult classic. We are going to be reviewing Funny Man, written and directed by Simon Spracken, who's best known for writing and directing Funny Man from 1994. And with his £50,000 budget, came up with this absolute psychedelic headfuck. Stu, what did you make of Funny Man, mate?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Connor.
Go on, go tell the girl gang.
This review might be a little bit awkward, and the reason for that is that at the time of recording this, the Premiership has just started again.
You're citing the football as your reason for not caring.
Yeah, so what happened was, long story short, I watched the football instead. I did have the film on one screen,
yes,
and I had the football on another screen, but
Stuart,
I did catch bits, right? So basically, you talk for 20 minutes, and I'll chime in at the end.
All right, I tell you what, this movie's all over the place, so it's only right that the review is. So we're going to start the movie off with a poker game, which is taking place in basically like Freddy Krueger's dreamscape. It's like a weird fucking bar in the middle of like a factory with just like steam coming out the walls.
I did see this bit.
Oh, good, that's a start.
Yeah, because it was a really weird bar, right? But then it kind of pans over to some men at a table having a game of poker. For some reason, the guy just decides to put his house on the line.
Yeah, Christopher Lee as well, the main man.
I can't remember the exact sum, but he's basically raising the stakes by like nearly £1 million.
Yeah, it's a £1 million mansion, I think he says it is.
Yeah, and he's raised the stakes by like 900 and something K, isn't he? He's just... And he's just done that on a pair. So a really shit poker hand. And the other guy goes to reveal a royal flush, but the last card's a joker card. And then he loses his house to this other guy, and the film commences.
So you've got this Scottish lad who's a record producer, I think. He's now won Christopher Lee's English mansion. They get to the mansion and he's like, oh, get in, score. Because of course it's a score. You've just won a mansion in a poker game. And then he starts having a look about and wipes his finger through some dust, and he's like, oh, bastard, he didn't do the dusting. It's like, that's what you're complaining about, mate. You've just won £1 million mansion. Can't be bothered to get the pledge out, though.
To be fair, quite a nice house.
It's a stunning house. There's actually quite a few scenes where I really like the sets. There's some sort of creepy corridors with, like, clown gear in there, and then there's a room with loads of, like,
weird statues, I saw that, which are all named things like Big Tits and Nobby.
Yeah, Nobby, with one B as well. Yeah. So is it Nobby?
Nobby. Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's Shinobi's cousin. Kenobi.
Kenobi.
He's a Russian artist. Kenobi.
Nearly Russian.
Nearly, fuck's sake. That's a throwback.
There's a throwback. Yeah. So yeah, overall I did actually quite like the look of this house. And while I was invested looking at this house, Stu, I started getting some vibrations on my phone, mate.
I wondered where the fuck you were going with that. Right, okay.
It might not just have been the football that was a distraction on your end, Stu. Were you on the UTG page Instagram at all?
I didn't realise you had seen that.
So, Stu, now you've got more explaining to do. Who or what were you texting via the UTG Insta group during Funny Man?
Oh no, fucking hell. We got a message on the UTG Instagram. It was from a young lady called Carolina Johnson. So we just had a nice chat. It was obviously like one of them weird accounts, and it was just a porn bot. So I thought I'd see how much of porn bot's time I could waste. And it turned out it was an actual human being at the other end of it, and not just some automated message.
There is not a chance that this was a fucking human being. This has got to be automated. Here's an excerpt. So this Carolina asked the UTG account if we would pay her. You responded, Stu. Pay you for what? Hook up, was her response. During COVID-19? That's a bit risky. I mean, normally I go bareback anyway, you know what I mean? But that feels like a totally different kind of risk, even though the reward is obviously fantastic. Carolina's response, not a risk, I'm not infected.
I just assumed, you know, if it was a young, attractive female, that they must be looking for you. So I said, hello, you must be looking for Connor. And they... and they replied, not at all.
I can't even get a fucking robot to like me.
It was brilliant. And I said, well, I've got a thing that can satisfy a fine young lady like yourself. Would you like to know about it? I sent her a link to our YouTube channel and said, make sure you hit that notification bell.
Anyhow, back to Funny Man. We are back at the lovely aforementioned house. We have summoned up to the house an evil jester who comes in and starts being an absolute lunatic, breaking the fourth wall all the time.
Like a bad Deadpool.
Totally a bad Deadpool gimmick. He's got the shittest, most dated fucking one-line chirps.
It's not even funny. It's just like weird comments all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the first time we see him properly is in that room with all of fucking Kenobi statues. And, yeah, he just ends up having, like, an awkward chat to this woman and then ends up just bludgeoning her head open with a caveman club.
She's like, there's a guy in here. And he's like, yeah, I've got something for you. She's like, what? It's just a fucking giant club. So he just smashes her face in. He also kills a kid right at the start of the film. I mean, the kid dying, cool, because he looked like a little prick anyway. But it's the way the mum and dad are, like, getting it on in, or they're about to. They're having a little smooch in one of the rooms. Whoa. All of a sudden you hear like the kid's voice through the door saying, Mum, Dad, are you having sexual intercourse in there? And they're like, the mum goes, no, and the dad goes, not yet.
Smooth.
Yeah, absolute lad. And then you hear the kid's voice again, and he goes, okay. And they say, well, what are you doing? And he says, I'm playing with the funny man. And then it cuts to kind of the keyhole, and you see that it's the funny man doing the kid's voice through the door. Mm-hmm. And then he just drags the kid off by his ankles down the corridor.
The other kid of this family as well, she's sitting in like the attic of the house playing Super Mario on Game Boy, right? She's in a dimly lit room. Bollocks, doesn't even have the little screen light attachment.
That's very true. Those old Game Boys were fucking disastrous, because too bright, can't see the fucking thing. Too dark, can't see it neither. You have to have the perfect mood lighting to play that game.
And if you want some perfect mood lighting, summon the funny man who will attach crocodile clips to your ears and set you on fire.
Yeah, he obviously just wires up the old car battery chargers to her fucking ears, fries her to death, and she sets on fire. Still sat down, legs crossed, same position. She doesn't even try and take the plugs off her fucking ears. She just lets herself go up, and that's her. I saw him shoot someone's brain out through the front of their face.
Well, let's talk about these characters. So you've got like I think a band who are like on a bus driving about, and they're a weird assortment of characters. You've got this one fucking Mick Hucknall looking cunt who has the worst Scottish accent ever. It's like Charlie Hunnam levels of accent attempt. Give me the fucking bass.
Fucking hell.
Well, look, I can take you as far as London, but I'll make us stop off on the way down, deliver some stuff. Is that okay?
And then you've got this like guy who's a bit sort of posh with a ponytail who plays like Punch and Judy with himself, but the scenario's always about domestic violence. And then you've got the fucking Rasta woman who comes in with the full-on patois. Like, it reminds me of fucking Brad Pitt in Meet Joe Black when he attempts patois.
Everything gonna be airy. But me, I tell you, boy, there's a whole heap of shit going down here.
She turns into a very strange character, but I'm sure we're going to come on to that.
Yeah, we will. For the time being, that's her character development put on halt, because we've got Velma from Scooby-Doo. She's the one who gets her brain blown out.
That's fantastic, by the way, though.
It is. Like, I love the effect on that.
Her brain comes out with her glasses and eyeballs still attached to it.
Still attached? Yeah, and the whole scene doesn't make sense because, like, the funny man's kicking about and he's, like, doing little duck noises with, like, a kazoo. And Velma's like, oh, oh, where's this duck? Wait, she doesn't even say that. She just starts going quack quack, just in thin air. And eventually, like, she finds what she thinks may be a duck. Again, it's just the funny man going quack quack, and the Scottish guy
What's he
from
doing?
the book. Quack quack.
What? Why did he go American? Quack quack.
Quack quack. And then the Scottish guy rolls in a shopping trolley, and he's like, duck, where? It's like, oh god, the script of this film.
I don't know, man. There was some moments where I was like, oh, this character's actually quite funny. And then there were other moments where I was like, oh, this is painfully forced. So now the football had finished by this point.
Continuity, there you go. If you're watching this and you were curious about how the footy was going, there's your little your segue there.
I'll tell you what, every week I'll watch the football, you watch the film, let's combine them.
Oh, unleash the goals.
Oh, you fucking winner. Let's go.
Yes!
Let's go. And we use this section to segue perfectly into the head that gets kicked around like a football.
Oh, yes, of course, because we have a decapitated head on the lawn surrounding the mansion. And, like, the guys are just standing looking at this clearly decapitated head. And they're like, oh, what's that? And one of the guys is like, I'll tell you exactly what that is. That's a 35-yarder.
Just pumps it.
Yeah. Fucking Roberto Carlos is into the darkness.
Well, no, one of them goes, no one had saved that. And then the funny man just appears in a goal, the other side of the field, and saves it.
What do you think of the funny man? Because, like, he keeps switching back between, like, a Welsh accent and, like, a Yorkshire accent, which, considering he's got a latex mask over his face, makes him sound exactly like Mel B from Bo Selector. Just, ooh, get right, me minge!
Right, shithole, baptise that way. That's our Phoenix, that. Come here, you bastard!
Sorted. I'm off for a toss, me.
There was times where it was just painfully cringe. Like you said, the fourth wall breaks and stuff were like so piss poor at times. But then there were other bits where I genuinely was laughing at it. They're in like this weird place and for some reason the funny man becomes a stripper.
Yeah, with his massive corn tits as
Just
well.
massive tits. There's like a guy just watching him. He tells him to put his tits away. He doesn't. He's fucking prancing around. And then they go outside for a fag. He's just back to the funny man. He's not the stripper anymore. And then they just start on each other for no reason. It's genuinely quite amusing. And then and then the funny man just bludgeons him in the eye.
It's the stiletto, isn't it? Just pushes a stiletto in his eye.
He goes to him, have you got the point? Yeah, funny. And then at the end the guy kind of falls over dying and is like, I think I've got the point.
My favourite kill in the film, actually, Stuart, was the Punch and Judy show on the beach.
The Punch and Judy show was one of the bits that I genuinely enjoyed in the film. I was a bit like weirded out when he, ran towards the wall and then his like head and arms went through it. It cut to the Punch and Judy show. I was like, I actually quite enjoyed that moment in the film.
Yeah, because the little Punch and Judy are like little versions of the funny man as well. Like each of them has a little jester face on. It's like, oh, look at you.
Oh, it's so funny. And it's the shitty little bomb they put on his head.
It's the dialogue they've got. They're like, oh god, it's a fucking bomb.
What the friggin' hell's that? It's a tossing bomb, innit?
No!
And then the funny man's like sitting in a deck chair like, he's behind you.
And then obviously the bomb goes off and then it cuts back to him like half through the wall. And he kind of just pulls backwards and half his hands have been blown off and so is the top of his head.
The top of his head is just splat.
I tell you what I did enjoy about the funny man when he first appeared, and it was like the shittest WWE like entrance video. Do you remember what they used to be like back in the day when it was like little clips of like the wrestler like walking down the road and then it would cut to them like in a bar drinking and then it would cut to them like riding a motorbike. The funny man, the way he comes into the film reminded me of that. It just cuts to his hand and then he just gives a little thumbs up.
Yeah. I love that. It's like, yep, I'm here now, lads. Fucking hell, go to me fucking class film this. Oh.
Fucking hell, you've nailed that. Yeah. I quite enjoyed his little entrance. I also quite enjoyed his fight with the witch doctor lady. Is witch doctor the right term? I don't really know how to.
Or a witch nurse, perhaps.
Witch nurse, the lady with the afro.
She now comes back into the film and she's suddenly casting spells out her fucking wrists.
Yeah, what's happened there? She injected her hand with some shit. Her fingers have separated. Her hands become a gun that shoots fireworks.
Yeah, and she's got the worst accuracy I've ever seen. It's worse than a bloody stormtrooper.
She blows up her entire village.
Yeah. Where's this village come from? Apparently it's called Sod's Law with a population of 1. And it's just a little Skyrim village with little toadstool houses and garden gnomes who can talk. And where is this meant to be?
Funny Man obviously shows up for a battle with her for some reason. He's got a poncho and a sombrero on.
Yeah, he's ready for the melee Mexican standoff.
Yeah, now he's got guns, so he shoots at her, and then her hand becomes a fucking firework launcher, and she just pretty much destroys everything but him.
I love his Northern English reaction as well. He's cool as fuck with his 2 handguns, and he's shooting proper Clint Eastwood and he misses every shot. And as soon as the witch nurse starts firing shots back, he's like, oh fucking hell.
He kind of legs it, and then he promises to come back, and when he does come back, he hides in a bale of hay, doesn't he? She decides to go and take a rest on this bale of hay. Her face starts it's like the scene from Alien where the fucking xenomorph pops through
the chest. It's basically just that, but with a giant jester.
Suddenly erupts for her stomach, out he comes. But I love how he's got a mouthful of stuff, so he spits out all this fucking, it just looks like jelly cubes basically.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely jelly that they're trying to make it look like internal organs.
Yeah, it's definitely jelly. I like the way he spat loads out as he came through her, and that's the end of her.
And then his little one-liner for that was, oh, it's like my dad used to say, they don't like it up 'em. Oh, they really don't, actually.
Pretty good little death scene.
Yeah, I think all the deaths are quite cool, quite creative.
Just kind of random though, right? Just so fucking random and out of nowhere. All of a sudden he's killing someone, and then it's back to just weirdness.
It does. I mean, we get the end, the climax of the film after the showdown. Now, Funny Man's dressed as Jimmy Savile, while Mick Hucknall is in his gold tuxedo, just playing a song by himself. And I can't even remember what happens. It's just a weird acid trip, bizarre rock segment.
Yeah, because he just calls him up, doesn't he, and promises to give him a shot at the big time if he comes and performs a song for him. So he just comes and rocks out in front of him. It's just weird. I don't know how else to. This whole film. I know that I didn't pay much attention this week, but from the bits I've seen, I walked away from the film and was like, the fuck have I just watched? I have no idea.
Mate, I watched the full 90 minutes really intently, and I felt the same. So the fact that you've got Chelsea Tottenham on the go and Carolina on the go at the same time, and you come out of it with just the same reaction as me, it kind of goes to explain how weird this film is.
It was really fucked up. While I think about it, I'd like to take a quick pause in regular programming here, because I would like to say thank you to 2 people. There's a guy called Jay Roberts, and there's a guy called Leon. Leon runs a Twitch stream where he does gaming called Duck Duck Gaming, but he also runs a comedy show near where Kofi and Connor live called Laughing Stock Comedy. But Jay and Leon, since day 1 that we launched, have engaged with every Facebook post and kind of had a laugh with us along the way. Those 2 have just been fucking awesome at supporting us in this endeavour.
Yes, there you go. Thanks to Jay, thanks to Leon, of course thanks to Carolina as well for her input.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, fuck Leon and fuck Jay, because Carolina's the one. So
didn't even sub.
She will. She'll come back.
Oh, she'll come round to it.
She knows what's good.
All subscriptions, all likes on Facebook, all likes on Instagram is so appreciated. And we do put a lot of effort into this, like me, Stu, Kofi, we've all got lives outside the show, but we still try and come back together once a week to put the show on for you guys, and any support we can get in return is always loved and appreciated.
On that note, 80% of you cunts that fucking watch this on YouTube aren't subscribed. So you 80%, whoever the fuck you are, subscribe, because I'll fucking hunt you down.
Well, there you go. You've had your nice and easy, you've had your threats. That was my review, Stu's review of Funny Man. Thank you very much to Leon and Jay once again, and to Carolina, and to all of the Ghoul Gang. And we'll see you next time for another Friday Fright Time.
Goodbye, friends.